Yo. So today we're gonna talk about how I go to UCLA, and if you don't like it, don't watch the video. So today, I guess I just want to talk about like where I go to school and stuff like that. And if you haven't figured that out by now, I go to UCLA, and I'm very proud of that because I worked hella hard in high school to get in and stuff like that. But I guess I don't want that to define me. So whenever I go out places or stuff like that, I really try not to show that I go to UCLA, or I try not to brag about it, because I know there's a lot of people that really wanted to go to that school and wanted to go to that school, and they just didn't get in. Not to say that they weren't as smart as me or smarter than me, but sometimes it just takes a little bit of luck, and fortunately I was blessed and God looked upon my life and allowed me to get in. So I guess I'll start with the application process. When the application process was taking place, it was basketball season, and so as an athlete, I was focused 100% on playing basketball, and I didn't want to take time out of my life to apply to college. But my mom was like, "Oh, you've worked hard these 4 years. You should really put time into applying because it could really change your life. Where you go to college could really change your life." So I was just like, man, whatever. I'll just, wherever you want me to apply, I'll apply. I gotta work out. I gotta shoot. I gotta worry about the season. I ended up applying to only Cal States and UCs. My mom wanted me to apply to Ivy Leagues, but it was a Common App, and there were a bunch of essays and stuff, a bunch of letter of recs and stuff you had to do for that. And honestly, I just didn't really want to do that because it was just gonna take up a lot of my time. The Cal States was you had to answer a couple questions and submit your grades and stuff like that, and just press submit. So that's literally what I did. And the UCs was a little more complicated. There might have been 2 questions, but they were 500 words or something like that. And so my mom just really made sure I took the time on the UC app because she really wanted me to either go to Berkeley, SD, or UCLA. So I was like, man, whatever. In my mind, I was going to get a scholarship for basketball anyway, so I wasn't really tripping off that stuff. I had a couple of looks to some D3s. A couple Ivy Leagues were interested in me, but hadn't really offered me yet. The only school that had really given me solid consideration was Dartmouth, and I was kind of hesitant just because it was so far away from home and my mom living alone and all that stuff. I wanted to just be close enough just in case I had to either jump on a plane or just come home, just in case anything were to happen. And I had some camp invites. Brown invited me to a camp. Tulane invited me to a camp. Columbia invited me to a camp. But I didn't end up going out there for the camps just because they were just too far, honestly. I was looking for something on the West Coast. But anyways, back to the whole UCLA thing. So I ended up applying to Berkeley, LA, SD, Irvine, Riverside, Santa Cruz. And I think that's it. I think those were the 7 or 6 or 7 I ended up applying to. And then the Cal States, I applied to Northridge, San Diego State, and Sonoma State. So the first acceptance I got was Northridge, I believe, which was pretty common for my school. We're kind of like a feeder school into Northridge, so I was expecting that just as everyone else was expecting that. So I kind of just discarded it because I wasn't even considering going there. I would probably end up going to a junior college out here rather than go to Northridge. I didn't get into Davis either, and that was the first UC to come out. So I was low-key scared because I was like, dang, if I didn't get into Davis, then I probably didn't get into SD, LA, or Berkeley because those schools have lower acceptance rates and they're a little bit more academically competitive. So I was just like, dang, I was really scared, and by then my basketball season was over, and me playing on a scholarship at a D1 level was looking kind of grim. So I was just like, oh, I really don't know what I'm finna do. UCLA ended up sending me this thing called supplemental review, which is when you have outstanding circumstances that they want you to talk more about. Maybe it will help your chances of getting admitted, right? And so I ended up filling out that paperwork, talking about how I have like a single mother. I had some deaths in the family during high school, which affected my academics a little bit. Even though my grades were pretty good, um, it still affected me. I lost all four grandparents within 6 months of each other. Two of them I was very close with. One of them raised me. My grandmother raised me. You know, different stuff was going on in my life. So I just ended up talking about that. And I didn't hear back from UCLA for months. And so I really didn't know what was going on. I ended up getting waitlisted at SD. And then one day I was at my homie's baseball game. And they were like, the UCLA apps are out, like the decisions are out, and all these people were like, oh, I didn't get in, I didn't get in, I didn't get in. And these are people who I considered to be just as smart, if not smarter than me. I didn't know their grades, obviously, but, you know, I was scared because I was like, dang, like, they're not getting in, and, like, who's to say I'm going to get in, right? And so I ended up coming home, and my mom was like, yo, like, you should check. And I was like, I don't want to check. I'd rather just not know. But then she ended up forcing me to check, so I ended up checking, and shoot, man, I ended up getting in, and like I was at a loss for words, literally. Like, I did not know what to say. I was super excited, so I was waiting for Berkeley because I really wanted to go to Berkeley. I wanted to kind of get away from home, but, you know, stay close enough to where if my mom needed anything, I could be home super quickly. So I waited for Berkeley. I think Berkeley came out like 2 weeks after UCLA, and I didn't get in. They straight up denied me, no waitlist, no nothing. I was like, damn. But yeah, I was super excited. I didn't SIR right away though, because I wanted to do a couple of camps and stuff like that to see if maybe another school on the West Coast would offer me a scholarship or show me some interest or anything like that. But only thing that came from that was a couple of JUCOs. West LA was interested in me. El Camino was interested in me. Santa Monica was not. I don't think they ever saw me play or anything like that. But honestly, I was super excited. I ended up going to Bruin Day, and I went to this thing called Admit Weekend, where they invite like the African American students to come and live with currently active African American students who live on campus at UCLA, just to experience the student life. What it's like. They try to persuade you to commit because African American numbers are low. It's actually like where I got this shirt from, the Black by Popular Demand. Yeah, it was a really fun weekend. And Bruin Day is the Saturday of the weekend, so you know your family comes out and you take a tour and just see the different things going on at UCLA. And ultimately, I ended up SIRing, like committing. Yeah, that's my UCLA story. I just want to talk about a couple things, though, just a disclaimer. At school, like, after I got in, I didn't tell anyone. And I told, like, my close friends, like, my best friend and, like, you know, like, the girl I was talking to at the time. But I didn't really, like, broadcast it, like, post it on social media and stuff like that because I knew, like, how important this was to people, and I didn't want to come off as gloating. So I actually tried to hide it for as long as I could. But I ended up telling a teacher I was close to, the ASB teacher, the one who headed the class. I was pretty close to him, so I ended up telling him. And he ended up writing me on a board, like in front of the whole class. So I was just like, oh. And they were like, you got into UCLA? And I was like, yeah. And then people automatically assumed that it was for basketball. Like that was the first 15 people who came up to me and, oh, you got into UCLA? Are you going for basketball? I was like, nah, like I got in for academics. And it was funny because like people were like, oh, you're smart? I didn't know you were smart. And I'm like, I'm in the same AP classes as you. I'm in the same like AP US History, AP English, Physics. I'm in all the classes with you, and I've been in all the classes with you all of high school. The people just like automatically assumed that I wasn't like smart because I was like a class clown. Like I made jokes and stuff like that, and I'd always be talking and stuff. But like I paid attention and I did my homework and I learned the material just like everyone else. Yeah, so you know, like I did my work and I did everything that everyone else did. I was in clubs and I was a captain of my sports team, and you know, like I did all that stuff. But yeah, that's my UCLA story, I guess. All this being said, the reason I wanted to put this out on my YouTube is because a lot of my content will be UCLA heavy, probably just because I'll be on campus. I wanted to be like very clear and just let you guys know that that's where I attend. People have been asking me, you know, especially because of the where do I go to college video. I don't think I made it very clear that I actually go to UCLA. So I also just want to say, like, just because I go to UCLA doesn't mean that I'm like better than anyone else, or just because someone goes to a school doesn't mean they're better than anyone else. Like, there are a lot of circumstances and just different things in people's lives that cause them to go to good schools or not go to good schools or go to community colleges. Just because someone goes to a community college doesn't mean they're not just as smart as someone who goes to a four-year university. Like, it has nothing to do with how smart you are. Sometimes it's strictly finances, or sometimes it's situational, you know. So I hate the stigma that, like, oh, just because you go to a junior college doesn't mean you're smart. Like, that's BS. Like, I know a lot of smart people who go to junior college and end up transferring to great schools after. So, I guess if you're going to a junior college, like, don't be ashamed. Yeah, so I'll probably have some UCLA content coming. I'll probably be talking about like majors and different stuff like that. I'll be a third year this year. Subscribe, browse the channel, like it, comment. If y'all have any video ideas y'all want me to do, let me know. This is Sticks, and have a blessed day.